If I had to pick one fallacy of distraction to remember for a lifetime, I would make it the argumentum ad hominem, the argument that resorts to a personal attack on an individual. The ad hominem avoids any discussion of a person's argumentative position, preferring instead to belittle an individual through personal insult and abuse. Here's an explanation and several examples from Wired magazine.
Welcome to Argument Clinic, a guide to spotting bad arguments on the internet. In this episode, we're going to be talking about ad hominem, a classic logical fallacy. What's that? You don't think ad hominem attacks are that bad? Well, you would think that because you're a moron. I'm kidding, of course. You're not a moron. I'm just demonstrating an ad hominem attack, which means trying to refute an argument by attacking the character of the person making it, rather than the logic or premise of the argument itself. Boy, okay, now, where can we find examples of an ad hominem attack?
It's Rubio!
Sure, there must be one around here somewhere.
He said he's got pathological disease. He actually said pathological temper, and then he defined it as disease.
Come on. One of you must have seen somebody respond to a critique by reflexively attacking the character of the person raising it, rather than the substance of the argument?
He has a news conference all the time when he's eating. I have never seen a human being eat in such a disgusting fashion.
Okay, to be fair, it is not just President Trump who resorts to ad hominem attacks. Anytime someone dismisses a protester by saying they're paid by George Soros, or argues that anyone who supports Trump's immigration policy is racist, they're using an ad hominem attack. Take a look at any comment section and you'll find tons of ad hominem attacks. Ad hominem attacks are not always wrong. Sometimes the character of the person making an argument is in fact directly related to that argument. If, for instance, they're making an argument based on their own authority and they don't have any. If my buddy Daniel tells me that he learned in med school that it's totally healthy to eat 7 pounds of beef stroganoff a day, it would be perfectly valid for me to point out that he never actually went to medical school and is in fact an electrician. But for the most part, people make ad hominem attacks to avoid the argument altogether. Let's take a look at a few different flavors, shall we? So you've got ad hominem to quoque. This is when you accuse someone of not practicing what they preach. For instance, when a carnivore tells you that eating meat is bad for the planet, the fact that this purely hypothetical meat eater can't resist a savory bowl of beef stroganoff does not invalidate the argument. And then there's ad hominem circumstantial, in which you try to invalidate the argument by claiming it is within the arguer's self-interest. For instance, if I present data that proves that tax cuts are good for the economy, it would be a fallacy to dismiss it just because I'd benefit from that tax cut. Ad hominem attacks are easy, and they can be kind of fun, but they are not sound. They are dodges, a way to avoid grappling with the substance of an argument itself. If you don't agree, feel free to hop on the next train to Losertown, because that's obviously where you belong.
Just in case you missed some of the details, here's a recapitulation from the public broadcasting system.
The ad hominem attack. Ad hominem criticism is where, instead of criticizing the argument or ideas of the person with whom you are conversing, you criticize the person themselves, and in so doing claim you have also criticized their argument. And boy, is this one popular. Ad hominem criticisms are not always, but are very frequently fallacious. Unless the character or actions of the person making an argument are directly related to the matter at hand, criticizing them and not their ideas is a fallacy. Ad hominem attacks are the bread and butter of political advertising, criticizing a candidate and saying that because their character is bad, their ideas and policies are also bad. John Smith literally hates little children, and so his ideas about salmon fishery safety regulations are wrong. Dead wrong. A related fallacy is tu quoque, where it is argued that a person making an argument has behaved in a way inconsistent with that argument. Their behavior might be inconsistent, but it doesn't necessarily make their argument wrong. For example, it's really important for fast food restaurants to be clear about the salt, fat, and sugar content of their food, doubly so because of how cheap it is. Obesity is a real problem in America. What business do you have asking companies to disclose this stuff? I saw you eat 2 Big Macs and drink 34 ounces of High C Orange Lava Burst yesterday. This is an ad hominem to quoque attack. Mike argues for the presence of certain dietary information, and Straw Mike says that based on his behavior, he lacks the authority to do so. Straw Mike's response doesn't at all approach the point Mike is making, though. Mike is arguing that if certain dietary information were widely available, it's possible that an effect on obesity would occur. Ad hominem attacks make it so the person being attacked suddenly has to defend their character, and not their ideas, when in fact their character has no bearing on the conversation whatsoever. And also, it's mean. You seem like a nice person. No need for insults.
Taken together, these clips offer a good synopsis of the three main types of ad hominem. First, the abusive ad hominem, which is a direct personal attack. Second, the circumstantial ad hominem, which occurs when someone attacks a claim by saying that the person making the claim is only making it because it's in his or her interest or because of his or her circumstances. And third, the tu quoque, which occurs when one person accuses another of hypocrisy or inconsistency in order to reject the other person's claim, which is usually an accusation against the first person. Here's an example of an abusive ad hominem leveled at Senator Ted Cruz by President Trump during the 2016 Republican debates. Note the level of personal invective that the president uses.
Right now, today, as a candidate, he supports federal taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood. I disagree with him on that. That's a matter of principle, and I'll tell you.
You are the single biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
All right.
This guy lied. Let me just tell you, this guy lied about Ben Carson when he took votes away from Ben Carson in Iowa, and he just continues. This guy will say anything. Nasty guy. Now I know why he doesn't have one endorsement from any of his colleagues.
All right, John, I get
Senator
to
Cruz, pick
respond.
from the buffet there.
He's a nasty guy.
For an example of a circumstantial ad hominem, consider the following hypothetical scenario. If Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, whom we've just seen, had claimed that it is in the nation's economic interest to expand oil production, Donald Trump might have objected, saying that my opponent is only claiming that because his state benefits from oil production. Now, in this hypothetical situation, Trump would be arguing that Cruz is making his claim solely because he's Texan and Texas produces a lot of oil. But that is irrelevant to an objective examination of Cruz's claim. Trump would have employed a circumstantial ad hominem in a fallacious attempt to rebut Cruz's claim. And had Cruz added the following, he would have also committed the fallacy of circumstantial ad hominem. We should reject Mr. Trump's claim that tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy would benefit the economy. As a member of the 1%, Trump is only looking out for his own interests and those of his rich friends. Finally, here's a splendidly simple example of the tu quoque variant of ad hominem argumentation.